Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Essential Tips for Identifying Your EQMS Requirements. We are so happy you're here and that you could join us today. Before we start, a quick housekeeping item. Feel free to submit questions through the Q&A chat. We will have plenty of time at the end of the presentation to answer your questions. Before we look at the agenda, I'd like to introduce to you your speakers for today's session. We have Sherry Heckler. She's a senior implementation consultant at ETQ. And I'm Jennifer Bianchini, senior product marketing manager, also at ETQ. So here's a quick overview of what we will cover today. We will take a look at some of the quality management challenges that can occur. And then we'll look at what you should consider when evaluating a quality management system. And Sherry has some great tips for y'all when it comes to setting up your EQMS for the first time. And then before we wrap things up, we'd like to share with you the key takeaways from this session and some great examples of some customer success stories. And as I mentioned after that, we'll open it up for a Q&A. So don't be shy. This is for you, helping you to be a quality champion. So let's dive in, shall we? So as demand for EQMS solutions grow, so does the vendor landscape. It can be a complicated decision to ensure a successful implementation and facilitate a mission critical quality initiatives throughout your organization. So, regardless if you work with consultants, a committee, or perhaps it's just you, it can take months to decide on the right vendor for you and your organization. And then when you do make a decision and start the implementation, unfortunately, sometimes things can bubble up. The project can run behind schedule or over budget. Or what I would say could probably be worst case scenario, nothing happens, otherwise known as shelfware. According to Gartner, nearly 4 in 10 major software purchases end up as shelfware. So that's software that's purchased but never implemented. So we want to help you avoid this. And you should start with a game plan for success and do it right the first time. So, some of the issues that we've seen our customers experience, and maybe you are experiencing them as well, and they are very well understood in the quality management world. And as you can see here, so perhaps you're using a paper based system. Information is stored in a filing cabinet. It's not easily accessible to everyone who needs it. Or if you're using spreadsheets or a SharePoint folder system, which has its own set of challenges for sharing information across the various business systems within your organization. The information is siloed and often very difficult to get that information from there into your other business systems for critical processes, such as, for example, if you need to put inventory on hold when an issue arises. And then you don't have visibility into quality trends, and neither does management for reporting purposes. It is quite limited. And these systems, they can be inefficient. For example, we recently heard from a prospective customer that they expressed their frustration this way. They just want to be able to store the document. So, folks are dealing with a lot of processes that are not flexible, and it can be frustrating. And then there are situations where a document can go through multiple revisions. So, say your coworker Stan downloads a document and makes changes to it. But while he's working on that, Katie in the Chicago office is also making revisions to the same document. Then Stan and Katie upload their revisions to SharePoint. How do you know which version is the most recent and correct? You don't. So there is a better way for us quality management folks, and it's a quality management system. So let's get going on working on a game plan and getting it in place. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with ISO 9001. It's generally considered the most accepted and effective approach for a quality management system. Sorry about that. We jumped ahead there a little bit quickly. So back to ISO 9001. It does provide a framework to improve customer satisfaction by ensuring consistent quality across all of your products and services with 7 principles. And you can use these 7 principles as your guide as you begin your journey of assessing a quality management system because it takes and it really pushes quality as a top priority for everyone within your organization, not just those who are directly involved in quality. So, this shift to risk based thinking under these principles are very comprehensive. So, starting with a customer focus to satisfy your customers and build their loyalty. And then consider leadership. So, for leadership, you want to think about how you unify the purpose and direction of your workforce and create productive environments for all employees to achieve their quality objectives. And when it comes to engagement of people, you will want to ensure that they feel valued and they understand their role in improving operations, including having open and transparent communication. And then when you take a look at a process approach, your organization will want to focus on a proven method to produce those desired results, including those interrelated and connected processes to produce a consistent and predictable results. So, when we're looking at improvement, it's more than just a one off for risk based thinking and quality management. You'll want to focus on continuous improvement to streamline root cause initiatives. So you'll really want to enhance the drive for innovation and boost your ability to anticipate and react both to those internal and external opportunities. When looking at evidence based decision making, this is really self explanatory. It's all about making decisions based on the evidence. And then when we round it up to relationship management, it's about quality management extending beyond internal operations to include how you manage relationships externally, like your partners that you would work with or your suppliers. So you really want to be able to increase your ability to deliver value to your customers. So these 7 principles are a great guide for getting you started. So now that we have the foundation of the ISO 9001 7 principles, you can start mapping out your journey for a quality management system. We recommend breaking it down into 4 doable steps. So it doesn't seem like such a large and daunting project. So, this first step is starting with assessing your current situation. What does quality management look like right now across your organization? How are processes set up? Are the change management orders or training documents easily accessible to everyone? Or are they stored in a filing cabinet or perhaps a SharePoint folder? Or perhaps you might be using a workaround in a tool that your organization has invested in and it's not set up for quality management. So, as a result, some of these situations, you are probably seeing a high rate of errors because people just aren't sure what to do when. Now, let's think about automation. Do you know what processes or workflows can be automated to help reduce these errors? What can you automate to speed up delivery of producing high quality products for your customers? And while you are assessing your quality management processes, where are you missing that visibility into the process of the product lifecycle? You might not even know because sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And don't forget to take a look at what systems your organization has invested in. So, is there an ERP or a CRM, for example? How is the quality system or how the information about quality being shared with these systems? So, how is the current state being communicated to the ERP and the CRM to ensure that this real time information is available for decisions? So, really try to capture what quality management looks like now, all of the steps and the systems that are being used by your organization. What is working now that you would like to continue building on, and how an EQMS can help to improve what might not be working so well. Okay, so we've got a good understanding of how your quality management processes might be currently be working. So the next step is determining needs. How can an EQMS help your organization improve quality? So this is where you are the quality advocate, the champion, let's say. With having this knowledge of the current assessment of quality within your organization, you will start to share it with other key departments. So perhaps starting with production or operations, or talking to quality insurance, or maybe bringing in engineering and logistics and so on. You'll want to have these conversations. And during this process, make sure it's a two-way conversation. Ask them how they are managing quality to ensure that those higher quality products are being produced and going into the hands of customers. Take this feedback and implement it into your blueprint for an EQMS. And then while these conversations are taking place and you're documenting them, make sure everyone is in agreement as to what is the value of quality for your organization. Is it reducing scrap or bringing down the number of audit findings? Or how can you better leverage your suppliers to build a stronger supply chain? Or perhaps the first step might be taking all of your documents, your paper, your spreadsheets out of that filing cabinet and get it into a centralized document system. So everyone understands and agrees what this is, how quality management provides those tangible, strategic value that it's going to bring to your organization. But remember, take it one step at a time. Okay, so we've had the conversations, you got the assessment in hand, and you know what the priorities are. And with that, you also have a good understanding of the challenges that may lay ahead. So you can continue your quality planning and scope out your organizational QMS goals. So, in this third step, start putting together your decision criteria checklist. What does success look like? So you'll want to think about short-term goals and those immediate wins, your must-haves for your organization. So some examples of this could be its data migration, its document control, or CAPA management, or supplier quality. So develop and prioritize your goals for your KPIs. And then when it comes to the EQMS environment, you will want one that evolves over time to respond to changes that can happen within your organization and the industry. So, can it easily scale across teams and locations, creating that centralized system of information? And as you have learned from your conversations, each quality team has a different and unique set of goals. So we have seen some of our customers have success by starting with automating document control or their employee training needs, while others have a real need on supplier quality and nonconformance issues. So, what priorities and what problems are you trying to solve? Now is the time to identify and what can be automated, those capabilities that are the most important, and what is essential to the EQMS. You will want to work with a software partner who can help you best achieve these wins. Okay, so we're rounding this up here to the final and fourth step in your journey and what you should be considering. And that is completing the investment. And this is where you are really going to want to put on your quality management champion hat to deliver what superior quality looks like to the critical stakeholders in your organization. Because now you found an EQMS software partner to work with you, and you will need to put together a compelling real world ROI. But you're not alone in this journey. Work with your EQMS software partner, especially if you've never purchased software before and you're not sure of the impact that it can have in your organization. So, your quality management software partner will know that there needs to be a payback analysis. So, let them help you show the value. So, during this step, keep in mind you are competing with other departments who also want approval for funding. So you will need to show where the value is and the value of investing in a quality management system. So showing where the result or showing where the investments will have the biggest return, the results of this investment. So during this step, you'll also want to bring in your finance team and work with them to help put together this financial business case. And they will help you. So start with a classic cost benefit analysis. Whether you use the net present value or the payback period or the internal rate of return, the returns on the investment need to justify the cost. Business cases typically include revenue growth or cost reduction assumptions. And this is where your CEO, this is the information that really interests them, and they'll probably really dig in and take a look at this information. So you'll want to make sure that you are showing the hard savings, that this is carrying more weight than your soft savings. And also be sure to compare the with or without cases to help accreditate the investment. So test all the major assumptions, including what will happen if your company decides not to make the investment in a quality management system. What are the downsides of this happening? So the investment, it needs to be compelling because it's going to be competing against other departments within your organization who are also requesting funding. And typically, the most strategic projects offering the best financial outcome will be granted the funding. So, when you're having those conversations with your chief financial operations officer or your chief financial officer, and don't forget the VPO, don't forget your VPs of ITs, operations, and product engineering. Make sure you're focusing on the bottom line, the value that quality brings to the table. So, I'd like to share with you, which you can see on the slide right now, some successes our customers have experienced since they made the investment in a quality management system. So, such as they were able to reduce the risk of noncompliance by 50% and reduce field failure cost by 10%. So that is the hard savings that I was mentioning that you want to make sure carries a little bit more weight in your business case. And then there are those soft savings. So streamlining operations by 30% and growing and protecting revenue by 40%. So these are just some examples that show the value of what a quality management system can bring to your organization from real life examples that our customers have experienced. So now I'd like to turn it over to Sherry because you have worked with your EQMS software partner and you have proved the ROI for investment and you got the approval for the funding. And now it's time for implementation. So Sherry has some really great tips for ensuring success in this phase of your journey. Sherry, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. So, over the course of the several years that I've been implementing projects, there's a few key tips that have become evident. The first is it's always a good idea to identify your application administrator early in the project and involve them from the very start. The first benefit to this is that your administrator may have some valuable insight into how the system can be designed. And the second benefit of this is that if you delay having your application administrator until towards the end of the project, they have a steep ramp up to become familiar with the new system and everything involved. If they've been involved from the beginning through the design and the test of the system, they're ready to hit the ground running at go live. The other thing you can do is plan early for data migration and integrations. These are a couple of the most involved pieces of an implementation. Data migration may not necessarily be difficult, but if you're transferring information from your legacy system into your new system, there could be a lot of work involved, such as translating the terminology from the old system to the new system and different things like that are time consuming, even if they aren't necessarily complicated. It usually takes a lot longer than you might expect to migrate the data over. The integration piece is typically one of the more complex pieces of an implementation. It involves several teams, and coordinating those teams can take time, and it takes the back and forth between the external system owners and your new system owners to really identify how those integrations are going to take place. And there's often a few bumps in the road, such as network connectivity issues. So you really can't start this work too early. Especially as you're testing your system, you should consider realistic usage, including your volume of data. It's very tempting to test the system with kind of dummy data instead of actual use cases that come from your real system and how you will be putting the data in. The type of data as well as the volume of data is important to get a realistic test scenarios so that you don't run into any surprises once you go live in production. You also should consider limiting the scope of your implementation. It's very tempting to try to do everything all at once, do several applications all with the initial go live. However, this can present challenges, especially with resources. It's better usually to start with a couple of applications and then add on additional later. This also gives you the opportunity to use your experience with your new system in implementing the first couple of applications into lessons learned as you implement additional applications. And finally, you'll want to keep things simple. Again, it's very tempting to have your entire wish list all implemented in your new system as you're designing it. However, you could spend a lot of effort implementing complex rules for scenarios that are rare or situations that are handled easily with a procedure. If you make the system too complex, it is more difficult to test. It is more difficult to make changes in the future as conditions change, and it increases the possibility that there's going to be issues or unexpected consequences of all of these rules that you've put in. So you're in the middle of your implementation. What happens when you have some roadblocks? Some of these reasons for issues that you might see would be loss of key resources. Maybe you've had a key individual leave the company. Perhaps you've had a company reorganization, which requires some restructuring of your locations and how you're going to manage your new system. You may have had process changes. There could be unexpected technology constraints that you run into during the course of the project. And you might find that there's some resistance to change, especially among the end users. As you're running into challenges, you might consider reducing the project scope in order to keep the timeline intact. You can defer features that aren't as important for future enhancements. If you do have especially something like process changes, you might consider extending your project timeline. You want to make sure to incorporate the things that are critical into your new system versus pushing forward with a design that might not meet your current business needs any longer. And if you're encountering resistance to change, you might involve your end users a little more in the design process. This way, you can ensure that the system is going to meet the needs of everyone.
All right, thanks, Sherry. That was really insightful, and I think I see a common theme here. It's take it one step at a time. Not let's not take on too much at once. So some really great tips to get everyone started to ensure success in their organization. Thanks, Sherry. So with everything that you have heard here today, if there are 5 things you can take away from this presentation, this is for starting your quality management journey. So, know the ISO 9001 principles for quality management. Let those be your guide for building your foundation. And know your current quality management situation. Reach out to your peers, have those conversations, and have that knowledge share of information. And start small. Common theme here. Don't take on too much, or as I like to say, boil the ocean. What do those first steps for achieving success look like? So determine those needs. And then evaluate your options. What EQMS will work and grow with you and your organization? And not only that, but what vendor will support you and help you to make the case for the investment throughout your organization? And finally, build your business case with a proven ROI to share with key stakeholders. Partner with your EQMS vendor for that cost benefit analysis. So, I'd like to briefly share with you a couple of ETQ customers who went through the process that we've just been talking about. So the first is WAPTech, and in case you're not familiar with them, they make drains. So with the challenges that they were experiencing, it was around documents. Who has what? Where is it? It was a grand central of missing information. They found critical information was stored in people's personal desktops or SharePoint folders. And this was creating a risk for WAPTech. And as I'm sure you can imagine, it was wasting time. And not only that, but add to it, WebTech's customers require orders be fulfilled 100% before shipping. So if there was one defective part, it would actually stop the shipment, which impacted their customers and it prevented WebTech from collecting that revenue. So they needed a solution and they needed to be able to see those issues immediately and dive into the problem resolution within the QMS without any manual data entry. So, with the investment in ETQ Reliance and how they set up the QMS workflows, WebTech is now able to get the right information to the right people to make the right decisions. So WildTech now has a true picture of quality and they're back on the gravy train. And to help validate this, you'll see some stats here to help back this up, which is pretty impressive. The other customer I'd like to share with you, and you probably know them, is Purple. They make those cozy mattresses. So they were having some pretty restless nights dealing with manual processes and creating risk. They could no longer afford to have version control issues and have the wrong product requirement documents sent out to suppliers or have supplier changes sitting in somebody's inbox. So, since implementing ETQ Alliance, they now see a continuous improvement, boosting product quality by minimizing the introduction of defects. So, not only has Purple realized substantial time savings, but everyone, including the leaders in their C suite, now have an at glance view of product quality. And their quality champion, Anna, was nice enough to share back with us that all of their documents on how to make their products are in a central repository. There is no revision control issues anymore, no more waiting for sign offs, no more large documents that are too big to email or trying to figure out who they need to get approval from. So it's all programmed into the system with one click. So they really achieved that automation that they were looking for to bring consistency to their customers and creating repeat customers. And everyone is sleeping much better now. So I've mentioned a couple times now that we're from ETQ and we have an EQMS system called ETQ Alliance. So I just would like to take a brief moment to share with you a little bit more about who we are. So, as I'm sure you know, there are a lot of phases in the quality management journey. But no matter where you are in your journey, at ETQ, we are ready to help you. We have a comprehensive, purpose built EQMS where you can reduce costs, streamline operations, build compliance into your processes. And this results in improved efficiency, time to market, sustainability, and bottom line results. And we'd love to have the opportunity to share our expertise and help you along your quality journey. As you can see with ETQ, you are in good company. We serve hundreds of customers of all shapes and sizes across many industries. And we apply those learnings and best practices from across all of the industries to provide a unique value to all of our customers. For over 30 years, ETQ has empowered quality champions to use quality management as a catalyst for business success. We aim to be a trusted advisor to our customers, helping to guide them along their quality journey. Also, we are a part of Hexagon, a global leader in sensor software and autonomous manufacturing solutions. Okay, thanks for letting me share that with you a little bit more about us at ETQ. And we have now reached the point of our webinar where we will go ahead and open it up for any questions that have come through. So let's take a look at the chat and see what we have. How's it looking, Sherry?
So, the first question that I see here, do you have some tips on how to get approval for funding for purchasing a quality management system?
Sure, thanks. So I did touch on that a little bit before in the fourth step when we were talking about building a business case and that ROI. But probably another thing that we have found our customers have success with is making sure that you're using business terms, the terms that upper management would use and they're more familiar with, and not so much our quality management terms that we like to use. It's also really helpful to have an executive sponsor. That'll make it easier to open up the doors, have those conversations, and be able to get buy in. And also, it's really helpful to have an ROI tool. So, a tool that can help you calculate those savings that you would have and help you will show those hard cost savings and those soft cost savings. And I think that's about it. And hopefully, feel free to reach out to us if there's anything else you'd like to know we can help you with.
So, the next question I see here, does the system come with preloaded templates for use with document development?
Yes, they do. And Terry or Sherry, you might even know, as an implementation consultant, exactly, and I believe we have quite a few. Maybe you could dive into that a little bit more.
Sure, we do have within our document control, we have sort of a canned template for use for your policies, procedures, etc. We've also got different templates for other applications that you might use, for OSHA filing and so on.
Great. Sounds very helpful.
The next question I see on the list here, does ETQ integrate with ERPs?
Yes, it does. So there's a direct integration via APIs that's built within ETQ Alliance, and it integrates with quite a few business systems. So a manufacturing execution system, your CRM. It also integrates with a product lifecycle management system and ERPs. So it really helps to build that single source of truth, helping to provide the right information to the right people at the right time. And another part of this is it really helps to contribute to creating a closed loop system of continuous improvement. So there's integration and there is also harmonization.
Looking at the next on the list, can you tell me more about how a quality management system helps with managing nonconformances?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I can take that. And feel free to, if there's anything that I might miss, Sherry, if you want to jump in there on too. But how I know our ETQ Alliance to work, so a couple different ways. A nonconformance is identified on, say, for example, the production line. And a nonconformance report can be launched from the plant floor based on the issue that came up. So it can also help to automate the process of managing customer profiles, tracking investigations, and taking action on, say, some customer feedback you might get. You can automatically create a nonconformance record with details from a customer feedback form. Let's see. You can also manage planned deviations with completion dates and approvals. So you can do this by creating and assigning actions related to the deviation process that's going to be performed. Let's see. Oh, and then there's when reporting for management. So you get the reviews of the product materials that don't conform to specs, and then I guess this kind of ties in a little bit earlier with the other question I answered about integration. So if you have an ERP or an MES system and a field failure occurs, so with that real-time integration, it automatically launches a nonconformance report from those systems. So you are able to really help minimize business disruption. So again, we have this platform that's been created to centralize and standardize nonconformance handling and any of the processes that might be related to it, like corrective actions.
The next question, does ETQ have record retention? And I can take that one if you'd like.
Sure.
So, by default, all of the records in ETQ Reliance, they are stored in the system indefinitely. Nothing's automatically deleted. However, if you have requirements to have to delete data after a certain period, that can be accommodated as well, by providing ways to locate those documents so that they can be removed from the system after a certain period of time.
Great.
Next question. Can a QMS help with employee training and retention?
Yeah, I can take that. Absolutely. So when you have your EQMS and it's harmonized with your business systems, and you're creating again that centralized system, again, you're making information available to your teams, the correct information at the right time. So this really allows them to do their job safely and correctly, contributing to creating better quality products. So they're trained. They have the documentation that they need when they need it, and it's pretty easy to have access to.
Next question. How can a quality management system help me improve quality with my suppliers?
I can take that too. Um, so when you have an EQMS, you can see and track the impact that your suppliers that they have on your financials when it comes to, say, scrap, waste, or rework. You can be able to confirm if your suppliers are complying with the requirements. So let's say they're not. You'll be able to see that financial impact on those lower quality products that it actually has on your bottom line. So you're getting, let's say, this visibility into your suppliers, who I'll just kind of air quote here, are problem makers, and which ones are not. And then this way, you know who your best suppliers are, and you can partner with them more. Um, I would say another way a quality management system helps with suppliers is it helps to improve communication. Um, we have a portal login for suppliers that we provide, and it's a very secure login. So this allows the suppliers to go into the system, and you have that communication, and they're going in there, and it's not just happening when there's an issue that can arise or when it comes up. So you're able to make sure that right processes are taking place and things are getting documented and it's consistent, and you're able to take this information and strengthen your supply chain with information, evidence, and data. So because of this, there's like no more of those emails going back and forth, or information getting lost in a voicemail from an unanswered phone call. So you're having more of open two-way conversation with your suppliers, and of course, everything is secure communication within ETQ Alliance.
Looks like we have another one. Does ETQ offer assistance with computer system validation and other 21 CFR Part 11 FDA regulations during implementation? And we do have, I can answer that one. We do have a validation team and that will assist you. You can have us handle as much or as little as you'd like. We have some customers where we handle the complete validation, all of the documentation, all of the testing, and we have other customers where we provide guidance and as well for the out of the box applications that we offer, there's already validation documentation that would be provided to you as well.
Great.
Looks like we have another question. Do you have a template that you used to show ROI for a EQMS?
I can take that. So I kind of, I would say it's not really a template, but we do have an ROI calculator, and we do work with prospective customers in taking that information and presenting it in a business case where the information is templated a little bit, I would say. So I would say yes, but not in a way where it's a complete fill in the blank. So there is, which is nice because then you can take it and customize it the way you would need to for your certain situation.
I'm looking to see if there's any more questions. Um, I think that at the moment we've answered the questions that are open.
Great. And if folks think of anything later, they can always reach out to us. Well, if that's all the questions, we thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us today. We hope you have a great rest of your day and feel free to reach out if any more questions do come to mind. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.